Original post, May 9, 2024. I, 36 mil, have been having an argument with my wife regarding this issue for the past few days. I wanted some neutral opinions, especially from married women, on what you would do in this scenario. I work in the tech field and our research area is very niche. I had issues with my current company and started interviewing at different companies. At one of the companies, I ran into Abby, whom I dated 14 years ago. We dated for 3 years and broke up amicably as I wanted to pursue further studies and she wanted me to settle down. I met my wife a year after our breakup, and I was still friends, with occasional benefits, with Abby till then. I was upfront about the whole situation with my wife, and she told me early on during our dating that my friendship with Abby bothers her. I loved my wife and was serious about us, and it was a no-brainer for me to stop hanging out with Abby. Abby was confused but understood why I did it. We have not spoken to each other since then. My wife and I have been married for 11 years now, and have one super cute toddler. During the interview process, Abby was one of the interviewers and we had a nice professional discussion. I received a job offer from that company the very next week. I would be in middle management and Abby would be directly reporting to me. I have already informed the hiring manager regarding Abby, and they seem to have no problems with it. I also have 2 more job offers and I negotiated with all the companies, and the first company, where Abby works, is willing to pay me almost 80 grand more than the other companies. However, my wife told me that I promised her that I would not be in touch with Abby many years ago, and she is asking me to take an offer from the company who is willing to offer the second most compensation. Her reasoning is it would be awkward for me to be Abby's manager, and since we both work in the same field, it is not like I can transfer her to another manager. She insists that it's not insecurity, but I made a promise. She says that it's finally my choice, but she does not feel comfortable with me managing Abby and working with her. I see her side as I would have to travel with my team, including Abby, for a few days to an on-site location at least once a month. I can see why it would make my wife nervous. I personally want to join the first company as the compensation is higher and the experience in that company would be very valuable to me. Would I be in the wrong if I decided to go with the first company? It will offer my family a lot of financial security and would be good for my career. I do not want that taken away because of Abby. At the same time, I want my wife to be comfortable and not be constantly worried about the situation I will be putting her in. Relevant comments. Comment 1. Is Abby married with kids? You say the brief interaction was professional, but you don't really know Abby's viewpoint and motives here. Your wife is clearly insecure, but she may have good reason to be insecure. I can't tell whether you're full of it or not. This is factually a great setup for you to cheat. I think only you really know whether you are being sketchy, but your wife's reaction is well within normal. OP, my wife did all the PI work and found out that Abby is divorced and has no kids. That was one of the reasons why she was a bit apprehensive about me taking the job too. Update 1, May 14, 2024. I wanted to give a quick update. I posted a week ago regarding being confused about a job offer that my wife wanted me to reject because my ex would be directly reporting to me. I know a lot of you pointed out why it is such a bad idea, but I want to be honest here. The reason why I wrote the post was to get ideas on how I can convince my wife that I should take the position. I felt that I have never given my wife a reason to not trust me, and I should not be making important life decisions that benefit my family because of Abby, who I have not spoken to in 14 years. On Friday evening, we had a long discussion as my kid was at my sister-in-law's place for a play date. As many of you guys pointed out, my wife might be insecure with me hanging out with Abby specifically because we were friends with benefits after the breakup. I asked her about it and told her to be honest, as I would never make a decision without her being 100% on board. My wife said that out of all my ex-girlfriends, she felt a bit insecure about her. The reason was because I did not get a clean breakup with her and had lingering feelings even when I met my wife. For context, when I met my wife through mutual friends, I was still friends with benefits with Abby for a few months after. However, I cleared things with Abby and broke up for good before I asked my wife on our first date. My wife had heard about how I was not able to get over Abby before that and only agreed to date me after I told her that I decided to go no contact with Abby. I asked my wife if she feels I will be less loyal to her if I am around Abby. My wife and kid are everything to me, and I assured her that there are no circumstances where I would even think of stepping out of line to risk that. I also assured her that I will maintain professional boundaries with each of my direct reporters as I have been doing over the last many years, and Abby will be no different. However, if I miss out on this job opportunity because of Abby, I will always feel like, irrespective of what I do, my wife does not 100% trust me. My wife said that she trusts me 100% and does not want me to feel like I am doing something wrong. She said she does not want some hypothetical scenarios to affect the important decisions I make in my career and is okay with me accepting the offer. She asked me to make sure that we set up specific rules about Abby. One of them being no communication outside work, maintain only strictly professional communication, and always over-communicating with my wife about everything about Abby. Abby messaged me on Saturday about how it was great to see me during the interview process, and I immediately told my wife. Based on her idea, I replied back to her on LinkedIn and will make sure any of our communication stays there. I had until Monday to accept the offer. Yesterday, when I went to my office, I was planning to call the other company during lunchtime. However, my manager asked me to come to a meeting room to discuss something urgent. My current company knew that I was entertaining other offers, I had told them, and decided to match the offer from Abby's company. It is not exactly the same compensation, but it is only $20,000 less than their offer. Plus, they also assured me that they would promote me as soon as a director-level position opens up in one of the teams. It was amazing and I called my wife. She was very happy, and of course, I decided to stay at my current job. Overall, I feel happy that I got a big raise at my current place, and also know that my wife is not insecure and trusts me 100%. Story 2, am I the asshole for separating from my husband because he refused to get a vasectomy? Original post, April 28, 2024. My husband 28 male, who I will call Jack, and I, 27 female, have been together for 4 years, we have 2 young children and I am pregnant again. I have been pregnant for what feels like most of our relationship. I got pregnant 4 months into our relationship. We got married a month before our daughter's first birthday and ended up with a honeymoon baby. After our son was born, I talked to my OB and she put me on birth control and I have been taking it militantly. My daughter is now 3 and my son is 2. A little over a month ago I discovered I am pregnant again, despite taking my birth control religiously. Abortion is banned in my state, and the pregnancy was discovered too far along to attempt to obtain one out of state. While Jack and I were nervous, we also love being parents and decided that 3 young kids would be a challenge, but 3 was a good number for us. Then we went in for the first ultrasound and got some unexpected news, it's twins. Things have been tough financially, and while we were stressed but excited for a 3rd child, we were not expecting a 3rd and 4th child. Beyond the finances, I am the primary caretaker and I know that twins are going to be a lot. 3 children under 5 is already a lot, but 4 children under 5 is going to be really difficult for me. Physically, I am tired of being pregnant. I've been pregnant or breastfeeding for the majority of our relationship. It's exhausting, it feels awful, and I don't recognize my body anymore. 4 children is enough. I don't want more. I told Jack that I was done with pregnancy, I've been pregnant enough, I've been experimenting with different types of birth control for over a decade, and I still can't stop getting pregnant. Abortion isn't a valid option where we live, we need something more permanent. He agreed, and suggested an IUD, I told him no, if it did fail then it could cause an ectopic pregnancy which could kill me, especially where we live. I've had birth control fail me multiple times already and I'm not taking the chance, so I suggested a vasectomy. He was not open to the idea, and was even upset that I suggested it and told me I should get my tubes tied. I told him a tubal ligation is a much bigger surgery and I could be recovering for weeks during which time I wouldn't be able to work or take care of our 4 young children, but he could ice his balls for a day or 2 and be done with it. He told me that not getting pregnant was ultimately my responsibility, and topped it off by saying, "That's what your choice means, your body, so you choose." That's when it went from a discussion to a full-blown fight. See, when I was 19 I had another birth control failure with my boyfriend at the time, who I will call Tom. I wanted an abortion, Tom did not because he was opposed. I told him I was getting the abortion since it was my body and my choice, and Tom said some horrible things to me, including threatening me. I broke up with him and got the abortion. In response, Tom ended up following me one night and attacking me. I don't want to go into detail, but it was horrible, and he ended up going to prison for a number of charges related to the attack. Not only do I have a number of scars and some long-lasting physical effects, but I have PTSD as well. Jack knows about my history and diagnosis, and has known from the beginning. I have a pretty prominent facial scar, so I was upfront about it early on in our dating. Jack always presented himself as very pro-choice, so I was shocked that he would say that. I got really emotional and started crying and shouting, and it turned into a full-blown fight. Eventually, I said that birth control is a two-way street and so far I've been the only one managing it and he said, "And now we have 2 kids and 2 more coming, great job." I told him he sounded like Tom and he got super pissed, Basically said how dare you compare me to him, and maybe he might want kids one day with someone who doesn't compare him to her felon ex-boyfriend. I was stunned and horrified. I said, well then let's not waste any time, then packed up myself and the kids and drove to my parents' place. It's been about a week since the fight. I've spoken with Jack a few times and he has since apologized and said he was out of line and was speaking from a place of anxiety after finding out about the twins, but also that I said things that were out of line and it was wrong of me to insist he undergo a medical procedure. He said that can move on from the things I said and that he wants to see his children and be a family again. I told him no, that I didn't want to move on from the things he said to me. I can't just get over that and I think we need space apart. Jack was upset by this and while we talked, I brought up getting a separation agreement to manage custody and finances while we figure things out. He did not like this suggestion, and said we didn't need to pull the courts into this. I haven't told a lot of people about what's happening but my family and a couple close friends. My sister and best friend both think I should throw the whole man away, but my brother, who is the only other one married with kids, thinks that I'm being extreme for what sums up to a fight between two scared people who both said nasty things. My mom is trying to be supportive but is occasionally reminding me that I don't want to be a single mother of 4, and telling me not to let my PTSD drive my decisions, while my dad is being completely unhelpful. He thinks jokes are helpful, like calling me a doorknob because I can't stop getting knocked up, telling me to let the oven cool down, real knee slappers. I don't know what to do. My kids are happy to be at Grandma and Grandpa's house but they miss their daddy. I'm 4 months pregnant and already uncomfortable as hell. I wish I could go back to being a happy little family but I'm so hung up on the things he said in that fight. Am I destroying my family over one bad night? Am I being unreasonable for asking my husband to get a vasectomy? Edit. I've noticed a lot of people recommending condoms. I have gotten pregnant with condoms twice. Our second child and my first pregnancy were both conceived using condoms properly. I do not trust condoms enough to not fail a third time. I know the failure rate is supposedly small, but it's not personally small enough for me. Edit to the edit. I'm sorry, I didn't expect so many comments so fast and I can't keep up with them. By the first pregnancy, I mean the pregnancy with Tom. With Jack, I was on the patch when I got pregnant with our daughter, condoms with our son, and the pill with the twins. So far I haven't ever suspected that Jack has tampered with our birth control and always presumed that I'm a fertile myrtle. I recognize the comments and just want people to know I'm seeing the suggestion. I'm not dismissing it, but the thought of it is deeply upsetting and has provoked a lot of anxiety. I just wanted to make it clear that if the suggestion is only based on the condoms, that the condom pregnancies were with 2 different partners. While I know I always used condoms properly with Tom, I do believe that Tom could have been fully capable of sabotaging the condoms. Relevant comments. Comment 1, not the asshole. Your husband is though. Your body has already been through a lot. A tubal ligation is a serious surgery, and you are right about being out of commission for a while when recovering. If he is more concerned with an imaginary future wife than he is for you, I don't think there is much hope for this marriage. We have 4 close friends who all got vasectomies. None of them bitched about it like your wimp of a husband. We actually had fun vasectomy-themed parties for them. On the off chance he does end up getting a vasectomy, make sure to do the follow-up appointments. One of the vasectomy Fab 4 did not follow through and ended up with a post-vasectomy baby. OP, thank you. I feel like this is a lot of what has been so upsetting has been that he's thinking about some imaginary future wife when I'm right here, his actual wife, the mother of his children. It's like he's already imagining a future without me. Update 1, May 3, 2024. I didn't expect so many comments and literally couldn't go through them all. It seemed like the majority of people said I was not the asshole. But I did get a lot of "you're the assholes" telling me I was trying to force him to get a medical procedure and telling me to get one instead, besides already addressing my reasonings why I made my request in the original post, which I want you to read with real, per my last email energy. I in no way am forcing him to have a medical procedure, but I am saying that I do not want to be with a partner who is not willing to be snipped. This is an issue of compatibility. The number of children you want, the methods of birth control you're willing to use, those are issues of compatibility and a reason relationships end all the time. If he doesn't want to be sterilized, that's fine, but then that means that we're not compatible anymore, since it means he wants more children and I don't. Beyond that, there were some "you're the asshole" comments and some DMs that were just nasty, calling me a murderer and saying my body is a cemetery. Sadly enough, I expected those types of comments, because I know there are a lot of Toms out in the world. First, I wanted to address a couple things that kept coming up, because the last post turned into thousands of comments that all said about 5 different things, So to avoid my inbox becoming another echo chamber. You're 100% going to have a C-section anyway, so just get a tubal while giving birth. No, I'm not 100% going to have a C-section anyway. Twins are not an automatic C-section. With my birth history, there is no reason to presume that a C-section is in my future. My OB agrees, and has discussed the possibility as doctors have to do, but also said that based on my past 2 birth experiences, I'm a perfect candidate for vaginal delivery. I also am not going to mince words. Tubal ligations are less effective than vasectomies with a much higher likelihood of an ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic pregnancy can kill me. In fact, I got a PM from a woman who is a fellow fertile myrtle who had an ectopic after a tubal. I am rejecting birth control options that, if they fail, would lead to my likely death. I don't want to be pregnant again, but I also don't want to die and leave my children motherless, and in no way should anyone assume that traveling to another state to obtain an emergency abortion will continue to be an option in the future. We live in scary times, and Gilead is a real possibility. The comments seem to have the vibe that people think that ligations are magically more effective than vasectomies, and vasectomies are more of a whisper of sterility than an actual sterilization method. So for those in the back, vasectomies are more effective than tubal ligations, full stop. So I really need you all to shut up about it. 1. Go to another state and obtain an abortion anyway. I appreciate the personal offers to help I received in DMs deeply, but no. I'm in my 2nd trimester, which I know is still legal in some places. However, I am at a point in my pregnancy where I personally as an individual do not feel comfortable obtaining an abortion, considering I would be even farther along by the time I could travel, which is not only finances, but logistics as well. I am 16 weeks pregnant now. These babies aren't just clusters of cells to me anymore, and I'm not going to expand on that since it's not up for debate. 2. Why not adoption? With love and respect to everyone who has gone through adoption in all its aspects, adoption is absolutely not for me. This is a thought process I already went through 8 years ago, and now that I'm a mother and not a scared teenager, I know it's even less for me. I personally could not go through with it and come out the other side intact. Going through a full pregnancy, having my babies, and then being separated from them would break me. 3. Leave him and give him full custody of the twins. No. Because going through a full pregnancy, having my babies, and then being separated from them would break me. Jesus, some of you all. 4. Just have a sexless marriage. No. I love banging my husband, obviously lol. I don't want to be in a sexless marriage, and anyone who has been to an abstinence-only high school knows that abstinence is not the way lol. There were a lot of comments assuming I would be perfectly fine with holding sex from my husband and having a dead bedroom, and I wouldn't. I have a sex drive. I'm going to want to bang my husband. Wanting to have sex with your spouse is normal. 5. What you would do about birth control if you divorced and dated in the future. I'm not thinking of dating anyone else right now, because I'm thinking more about saving my actual marriage instead of an imaginary relationship. And if theoretically I did, I would probably seek out a partner who was snipped or was ready to be honest, or a woman. I'm bisexual, so there's a very good chance that my future partner wouldn't have the right parts to knock me up anyway. Lol. 6. Jack is sabotaging your birth control. I clarified my methods in the original post, but I did want to address this because it came up a lot. I don't have reason to believe that Jack sabotaged my birth control. A number of other fertile myrtles showed up and brought up that they, or their family members, repeated pregnancies in the face of birth control, including tubals. Accusing my husband of reproductive coercion for no reason other than I keep getting pregnant is a big leap and a weighty accusation. I am not the only fertile myrtle out there, there's a reason there's a whole term for it. 7. Your husband is a narcissist, abuser, psychopath, and he does no childcare. My husband and I historically have a really healthy and loving relationship outside of this fight. In fact, this fight is the first time we've really had a fight. We've only ever had little arguments that we've been able to talk through. He's an active father. The reason that I do the majority of childcare is due to circumstances between maternity leaves, our job schedules, and the fact that I breastfed my babies. Someone also presumed I'm the breadwinner, which isn't quite true. Jack makes more than me, but we do not have deeply significant differences in our incomes. When he is home, he does his fair share of cleaning and cooking, arguably more than me at times, and parenting. That being said, the things he said in the heat of the moment were deeply concerning, and we're addressing that together. So to get down to the nitty-gritty of the real update, since the last time I posted, Jack and I have sat down together and had a real come-to-Jesus talk. I'm not going to go through the whole breakdown, but it basically boiled down to this: it's the vasectomy, but it's more than the vasectomy. It was wrong of me to compare him to Tom, But it was more wrong of him to weaponize my trauma against me in a very malicious way. The way he intentionally used the same language my abuser used in an effort to hurt me was not acceptable and damaged the trust between us. He agreed it was not acceptable and said that in the aftermath he was horrified and ashamed of his own words, and that he, as an explanation and not an excuse, kind of snapped under the stress. Oh, and what he said about his next wife was not an indication of him not being committed to me but was because he felt hurt and wanted to hurt me back. He has apologized numerous times and seems to feel genuinely bad about it. As for the separation, I am still going forward with it. I need space and time and I need to take that before the babies come. I am still staying with my parents who, for the record, are not sick of me or the kids. We're a tight-knit family. I only moved out when I moved in with Jack, and my sister moved out about a year ago, so they have been empty nesting, and my mom doesn't like that we live an hour away. What I have realized with space and time is how deeply triggering it was, in a way that I cannot explain to those without PTSD from DV. Those who know will know. It's deeply unsettled me and I'm having a hard time getting over it, so to speak. There is now a lot of fear of my husband that was never there before, and it's going to take a lot to repair that trust and sense of safety. I cannot make a decision while I'm in this space, and I am addressing this with my personal therapist. Overall, I told him that if he wanted to stay married to me, I needed two things from him: marriage counseling and a vasectomy, and even then I still cannot guarantee him anything. He understands, but I do not know what will happen with the vasectomy right now. We focused more on talking about the fight, but he is very aware that it's now a deal breaker. And we have a marriage counseling appointment set up for next week. I'm hoping that counseling will bring some clarity to the situation, and in the meantime, for the next couple months I'm focusing on giving my kids lots of cuddles and preparing myself for 2 new babies to come into my world, with or without Jack. I feel bad for both people in this situation. I fully get the wife's points, and she is probably the correct one in this argument. But as a guy, I definitely wouldn't want to get a vasectomy, so I can't really comment on anything. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.